All right, show me the money. NFL picks for week number 7. You're here on the podcast. Joining me here today to break it all down, a resident Indianapolis Colts fan. Surprised his team is 3-3 at this point, but we'll see what happens now. There's some big injury news here. Dan DeMartini is here. Dan, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, and yeah, I feel like I'm doing much better than the Indianapolis Colts rest of the fan base. But yeah, it's an interesting time for us. So, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I mean, I'm coming off a pretty good win for myself, and my guys get the week off, so I get to enjoy 2 weeks of victory Monday, basically.
I don't know too many people that would have taken you guys to win that game and did not even on a late second thing or anything along those lines. Like you guys had a great game plan. Congrats.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun here. We'll see if they can keep it up on the Giants next week. But we'll talk about Colts right now because you hear about the Colts. So obviously they played in Jacksonville, which has been their house of horrors of late. They lose again. Gardner Minshew revenge does not go according to plan here. What was your big takeaway from that game?
Yeah, 7 straight years going to the games and 7 straight losses for me. And I've seen horrible offense, horrible defense. I just don't understand what's going on. But you know, I went to the game again this year. I kind of got the feeling after that first drive where the Colts came down and scored a field goal, I just had this pitting feeling like, okay, that might be the only points they score because it was a well scripted, kind of an interesting way of checking down passes. They didn't take any shots. They gave exactly what the Jaguars gave. Well, the Jags then came up and played man the rest of the game, and they matched up in base defense. So basically, they just said, okay, somebody's going to have to beat us one-on-one for you to get any yardage, and they couldn't. So it was an absolute mess. Look, I'll say this from a fan base perspective: we've been on a whirlwind, right? Jonathan Taylor gets his big deal, great. Some people are like, okay, that's awesome, good to lock him in, but Zach Moss has been arguably good enough, if not elite, based off of the rest of the league. Hard to think through giving him $14 million a year, but whatever. If he's going to be a star, he's with us for the next 3-4 years. Then we get the Anthony Richardson situation, right? You're in a spot where, okay, you think he's getting little hits here and there, the concussion. He had the shoulder in week 1 where he didn't go down right late in the game against the Jags. But I got to tell you, just his whole situation right now is so roller coastery. I mean, when you see him in, you're like, oh my God, that he could be elite. He runs, he's strong, he's making these difficult throws. It gets you really excited. And then every time he runs, you cringe. And because he shows he's gotten hurt. And we found out, obviously, earlier today, they announced that he is going to get season ending surgery. My gut reaction to that is, it's the best thing for him personally. But I got to tell you, while I know he's an incredible athlete and an incredible prospect, I just don't think the Colts should sit back and assume that he's now going to be the future of this franchise. Because, I mean, look, Andrew Luck, as soon as he had that first big shoulder injury, it was only just downhill from there. So, part of being an elite player in the NFL and being a franchise quarterback is really longevity and the ability to play. I mean, up until recently, Aaron Rodgers was look at his career, right? He's not a guy you would have said is injury prone. So that's more of a fluke. Richardson has only played 6 quarters in his first 5 games, and he's had 3 separate injuries, and now one is season ending. So I just hope that if the Colts do go along the path that I think they will, that they're looking at potentially taking another quarterback because Minshew is a nice backup. I know it's probably a hot take or an unpopular, opinion, but I don't think you can rule out, like, what if his shoulder is never the same? What if this is a recurring thing that every time he gets hit on the arm, look, he's gonna get tackled. He's a running quarterback. He's gonna get hit. So if he can't fall and he can't go down anytime on his right shoulder, like, if you guys watched the hit, it wasn't actually that bad a tackle. And now we're talking about a grade 3 strain that requires season-ending surgery. I'm concerned. I'm genuinely concerned by that. More concerned than probably most fans are because they're reading into everything that the media is telling them.
Yeah, I
Oh,
definitely be concerned too if I was you. And I also feel like the other thing with Bobby, besides back to A, is he gonna stay on the he'll stay on the field, is B, this guy needs to play because he's not played much in college. I think he's only had about like going back to last year at Florida, about like 600 professional pass attempt, like collegiate and professional pass attempts here. And like for a guy who's raw like that, like he's not gonna play 6 quarters a season, he's not gonna develop very well.
if we lose out from here and Drake May is available, I doubt Caleb. They're not going to get the number one pick. They've already got 3 wins, but they'll probably dumb luck into at least 5 or 6 wins. But I mean, I would consider it. I really would, because you need to have a quarterback. You really do. And you know, Anthony's a wonderful person. He's incredible what he's done for the community. This is not against Anthony Richardson, because I don't think that he's has all the tools to be, and the personality and the leadership. He's 21 years old. But I mean, throwing shoulder injuries, especially one that wasn't like a, when he went down, I didn't think anything of it. It was a standard tackle. And he immediately grabbed that arm, and I was just like, oh God, here we go again. It's like, this shouldn't be happening 6 games into your your NFL professional career. I mean, it's ridiculous, but can't blame it too much. Just Colts can't have nice things. So, and speaking of which, arguably our second best defensive player, Grover Stewart, now apparently is out for 6 games because he violated performance enhancing drugs. So, you know, that on top of the fact that now we're running with Minshew, Alec Pierce has underperformed as a wide receiver. You know, Josh Downs, the rookies look pretty good. Pittman's look pretty good, but you know, we're a one-trick pony now. Teams are going to stack the box against Minshew because he won't throw it deep. Um, honestly, if it gets so bad, Mike, if we lose, like, say, the next 5 out of 6, I say you throw Kellen Mond out there, who's on our practice squad, and see what he can do. We know what Sam Ellinger can do, so why not take a look and see what Mond can do, and try to replicate a little bit of what Richardson's style of play. But we'll see. It's just been a mess, and you know, I'm okay with it because our expectations were low, but I don't think the quarterback situation is just locked in for the next decade. I didn't see enough there yet to show that he can play in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes gets hit all the time. He's outside the pocket. There's plenty. Lamar outside the pocket. Plenty of guys who get banged up but then bounce back from it. Not all of them need season-ending surgery every time they take a tackle. So a little concerned.
Yeah, you're definitely right to be concerned here. And obviously, they're going to have to move forward Gardner Minshew right now. They play the Browns on Sunday here. And as of recording today, Deshaun Watson not practicing again. So like he might not be back again for them this week here. So about back at quarterbacks here with Minshew and PJ Walker. Good defense of the Browns here. Like, what do you expect for this game? Because I don't think Vegas has a clue what to do with it.
Awful offense. That's what I kind of expect. PJ Walker's, this is his revenge game, because most people probably won't know this because nobody outside of myself and a few other people care about the Colts. But PJ Walker was for years and years and years and years, for the Colts, was their kind of practice squad, called up third QB, cut, resign, wave, resign. Like, he had been around. He played great in the preseason every single year for us. Really a good guy and a really decent player, and obviously has shown that he can win with teams, even if it's not in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, he's a journeyman guy, and I think he wants to come out and have a really strong showing against us. And we are vulnerable. We're starting 2 rookies at cornerback right now, a 7th rounder and a 2nd rounder. Both of them have had good moments, and both of them had terrible moments. I think that if Cooper is playing, that he's going to have at least 100 yards and a touchdown. I'm not worried about the run game, but now that Grover Stewart's out, I mean, he's been a dominant interior defensive lineman for us, stuffing the run. So Buckner can't do it all himself. Now he's going to get every double team. It's going to put a lot of pressure on our linebackers. And oh, by the way, our $20 million linebacker, Shaquille Leonard, is still he's still getting back into game shape. Like, you know, I was not one of these fans who was like, you know, he's not the same. He doesn't look like, you know, the old Darius Leonard. he doesn't look like himself. He'll never be the same because of the fusions and the different things he's had done surgery wise. But I just think that if he doesn't outperform, if he doesn't look like the old version of himself and make a play, punch out a ball leading to a fumble, or catch up to a wide receiver and maybe deflect a pass off somebody, then we're in a lot of trouble. The Colts haven't caused any turnovers the last 2 weeks, and it has come back to really bite them. So, or at least not ones of significance. So yeah, I expect like I want to say maybe 21-13 win for the Browns. I think that'd be my prediction.
All right. Well, I did not touch that game here. We'll get to why you're here, which is the NFL picks. So just to reset where we are based on last week here. Our friend Phil Lombardo was here last week. He went 3-0 in the week. He had the Bengals laying 2.5. They won out, right? He had the Cowboys laying 2.5 against the Chargers on Monday night. They won that game by 3. He had the Rams laying 6.5 against the Cardinals. They blew them out. So 3-0 for Phil.
There you go. Well, that doesn't shock me at all. He's usually pretty in tune with this stuff. But good choices by him all around.
Yeah, I had a rough week on there. I went 0-3 on the week. So
yeah, I'm almost surprised you went with that Bills 14 number. That's a really, really hard number. Especially given what the Bills did when they were in London. But I understood you probably went for the bounce back. Nobody saw what happened in San Francisco happening. Their whole team, their offensive skill players literally fall out of the game. And then nobody saw what was going to happen with Justin Fields. So you got bad injuries to 2 out of 3 of your games.
Yep, by the 49ers laying the 5. I got that line even before Deshaun Watson wasn't playing, and then that didn't work out because of all the injuries. They lose by 2. The Bills at the 14, I figured Giants stink, and this is a big bounce back out of the Bills. Did not show up to play for that one, so I lost that. Bears plus 2.5. I was like, Vikings on the road should not be favored. Justin Fields getting hurt changes the equation there. So 0-3. 0-3 for me.
Yeah. So
we'll
see what we can do this week.
Yeah, both sides 11-7 right now. So very interesting window here. So Dan, as the guest, you can go first. So where are you going with your first pick of the week here? So
first one right now. I'm feeling I'm going to actually take those same Jacksonville Jaguars. I know that Trevor Lawrence is banged up, but last time I looked, the Jaguars were actually getting a point because they're in New Orleans Thursday night. I haven't seen New Orleans show that they can score consistently, and I really was not impressed with what they did last week. So I'm definitely leaning towards the Jaguars being able to run the football. Calvin Ridley creating a little bit of threat downfield, dropping their corners back, creating lanes for ETN to run. And the combination of ETN and Bigsby's been actually pretty impressive. Bigsby's also, I think, a little bit banged up, but the Jaguars have great schemes. And if Lawrence is out there, I think he can definitely keep them moving in the right direction. And even if this is a game that's ugly, like it's a 18-13 game, I still think the Jaguars win, and them getting a point, they're the better team. So I'll take that +1.
Yeah, it's one I think you're on the right side. I'm going to stay away from them because of Trevor Lawrence's injury. So for me, that's a stay away. But I like, if I was to pick, I'll be on your side.
Makes sense.
All right, we're going with pick 2.
Pick 2, I'm going to take the Commanders, believe it or not. I haven't been able to see the Giants consistently show anything right now, whether it's, making plays on defense, separation on offense, a scheme that fits that offensive line might be the worst that we've seen in a very, very long time. They make last year's Colts offensive line trying to protect Matt Ryan look like, the Cowboys offensive line. So at this point in time, I think Commanders giving up 1.5 to the Giants. I actually really like Sam Howell. I picked him up in fantasy as well. I think he's sneaky good. He can really throw the football. He's got a super strong arm, and I think that they're doing a really nice job at least managing that. That offense isn't explosive. Their defense obviously had a bad game a couple weeks ago. They were not ready to play a very upset Bears team. But I think that they bounce back, and I think that they are the kind of team that they always play up when it's a division team in a a game that they are making a statement. So they're not going to let up just because the Giants are struggling.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot too. I think it's a good value here. Plus, I mean, under a field goal, they just show up and win by 3, you win.
Yeah.
All right, where are you going with your last pick?
Last one. This one is kind of strange. I don't understand why the lines are so. Maybe they're baiting me into this, but I'm going to take the Lions getting 3 points against the Ravens. That line may have moved even more. Is that what you still have?
I had it as 3 last I looked.
Okay, well then, yeah. I mean, look, the Lions are a really good team, and they're playing really strong defense. They get after the quarterback. Um, Jared Goff doesn't try to do too much. The Ravens have won some games purely on Lamar's shoulders, and just the fact that they're the Ravens. Even when the Colts beat them a few weeks ago, like their team is banged up. They haven't been able to get any sort of offensive momentum. As long as Detroit has a plan for Zay Flowers, like I really don't see anything they should worry about Gus Edwards wise. Like he's he's a downhill runner, but they can, you gotta be a sure tackler against them, and you got to keep an eye on Lamar. And I think that Detroit makes a statement here. I think that they want everybody to realize, yeah, we're 5-1, we can be 6-1. So I think that the Lions ultimately outscore. This is going to be a high scoring game. I have this one more like a 31-27. So I think the Lions just outscore them late in the game.
Yeah, I think the reason people are on the line as much, I think a lot of it, like their best was over KC without 2 of their 3 best players. So and they'll kind of discount that a little bit. They want people to show them what they can do. So I think this might be a spot where like you might be on the right side, where like you bought in before everybody else has.
Yeah, and I think that Lions are getting healthier as well. I know we don't know a ton about what's going on with Montgomery right now, and Gibbs obviously has been out, but they've got the 2 Reynolds, Craig and Josh Reynolds. Like those 2 guys, I love watching how hard they play in their given positions. And I think they're cool storylines going back to the Hard Knocks from last year. Obviously, you got the reemergence of Jamison Williams now coming back from suspension. He made a nice play last week. I think they've got a ton of talent on offense. And I think that Jared Goff is doing above being a game manager. He's actually still a threat to throw the ball. I have one of those funny things, Mike, where I have a screenshot saved from a quote unquote, Twitter expert on the NFL who said that, I was insane for thinking that the Lions didn't need to consider quarterback this past year in the draft. I said, no, Jared Goff is above average. They should be focused on drafting defense. And he mocked me and laughed at me. So I screenshotted it. I've been saving it for a rainy day, but hopefully Goff can go out and do something big this week. And then I might deploy that back at this guy and say, remember when you told me that Jared Goff was garbage and that the Lions can't win with him? So, I am so waiting on that. I'm very petty.
Yeah, we'll see if that one comes out this week. Pick one for me. I'm going to make it a family play with you on the Commanders. I love this spot for Washington this week. I think this is the Giants had this big effort last week. They have a deflating loss, and now I think this one will come out like a little flat at home. And like Washington went back and forth, big win last week. Sam Howell's playing well through 3 touchdowns here. I think this is a spot here. I think Washington puts up a huge effort here and they win this game like by double digits. And again, 1.5 points, take it.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm with you on it, but at the same time, watch the Giants come out and beat them by like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens there. Pick 2. I'm taking Tampa Bay laying 2.5 at home against Atlanta here. And this to me is like, I think people kind of look at Tampa as fraudulent with their 3-2 start, but like this team is still very good defensively. They have weapons here. And I don't think Atlanta is very good. I don't think Desmond Ridder has been throwing a lot. He's not been effective with it here. He's playing a good defense in Tampa on the road. I'm playing less than a field goal. I'll take the home team with the more experienced quarterback. Give me Tampa, pick 2.
I 100% agree. That was going to be my next pick. I was debating whether or not to take Tampa or to take the Lions in that one, and I just had to go with my gut. So good call.
All right, that's pick 2. Pick 3. I'm going to the game of the week here on Sunday. I'm going to take the Eagles laying 2.5 at home, 2 at home against the Miami Dolphins here. I think this is a spot here where I think they got out of their groove last week in terms of trying to throw all the time on the Jets with all the corners injured here. I think they come back home. Miami's not really played anybody this year. These teams have 2 great offenses. Philly has better defense. Philly's at home. Philly's here less than a field goal. I'll lay the points of the Eagles.
Ooh, this is where I'm going to disagree with you. In my weekly like pick'em league, I took Miami on this one. I think Miami makes a statement on this one. I think they watch very closely how the Jets handle the Eagles. I think they try to. I think the Eagles can't just go from a game where they get stunted on offense to come out and being able to score and deal with the speed that Miami's going to bring. Miami's going to throw everything they possibly can at the Eagles. They're going to take chances. They're going to throw deep. They're going to go over the middle. They're going to keep those corners exhausted. Miami's offense might be the most fun offense to watch because every single player plays above what they probably should, other than Hill. So, I think they're getting back Jeff Wilson Jr. this week as well. That'll be a nice 1-2 punch throwing out of the backfield behind Mostert. So I don't know. I personally would have stayed away from that game because it is really tight. You've got amazing offense versus amazing defense. But yeah, I don't know. If Jalen Ramsey was back and playing that game, I would feel really good about the Dolphins. But I don't know. Right now, I just think that the Dolphins have a game plan for everyone, and that we're looking at Mike McDaniel being potentially the coach of the year. So we'll see.
We'll see here. So reset the picks of the week here. Family play for us and the Commanders, both laying 1.5. Dan's also adding the Jaguars +1 on Thursday night against the Saints. The Lions +3 in Baltimore against the Ravens. My other two picks, the Eagles laying the 2, as I mentioned, on Sunday Night Football, and the Bucks laying 2.5 at home against the Falcons here. Those are your picks for week number 7 here on the podcast. Coming up next week on the podcast, we're going to be joined by my friend Alan Austin here. Plus, it's Jet Giant week. So that's always going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Dan, thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it. People want to follow you on social media. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, on X, you can find me at DMart207.
Yeah. Plus, you're also visiting us on the Sky Guys podcast this week as well.
I am. I'm doubling up this week. So if you want a really good listen, come listen to our Candy Bag, our AMA episode that's coming up. So you get more of a casual Star Wars fan getting to talk to all the experts. So listen.
Yeah, I think we're branding as AMA Volume 1.
There we go.
All right. So Dan, thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
No problem.